What is going on? BabelJs guy here, and I am coming to you with the very first ES6 plus Webpack plus Visual Studio tutorial. This one is going largely based off of my own experiences at work. I've recently introduced Webpack, ES6 and all that good stuff into a professional development environment. And it's been a really interesting, really fun journey for me to go along, and I thought I would share those experiences with you, as well as really get you guys started. So, what I've really noticed is that there isn't too much actually on Visual Studio floating around on YouTube to do with ES6, Webpack, and MVC build environments all kind of meshed into one sort of, unified thing. So let's just jump straight into it. So this video is just going to be about setting up your build environment, and we will build a test project just to make sure that everything's working. We won't go into any kind of ES6 code as such today, but we'll just make sure that our ES6 code builds. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go to nodejs.org. And I'm really sorry about the, we'll just jump into full screen mode here quickly, and it's going to do a little glitching out on us for a second while it jumps into full screen mode. This is my VirtualBox, which I use for kind of any of my rendering and all that kind of stuff. I do that in a virtual environment, and it works quite nice. So just go ahead and we're going to download Node.js, and what you're going to do is let's just install Node.js. So we'll run and we'll excuse me, we will wait for this to do what it's doing. We'll say next, I accept, next, and we'll just install it to the default path. We're going to leave all of this. We need the npm package manager, we need the Node.js runtime, all that good stuff. We'll hit install. And I might just cut some of this out while you guys don't have to wait. We might just jump over some of this stuff in good old post-production. Alright guys, and we're back. So, in the meantime, while I was waiting for Node.js to install, I went ahead and I scaffolded a brand new MVC.NET web application. I think this is using MVC 5. I didn't even bother to check. Actually, it could be MVC 4 by the folder structure that it looks like it's scaffolded for me. But anyway, it's not really that important because we're going to be using Webpack kind of internally, externally. Anyway, you'll see exactly what I mean. So once you've scaffolded your new project and you've got it looking all nice and like this, and what we can do is we can just press run, make sure that our project builds here. It's always important to get a clean build, whatever environment that you're working in. It's always good to make sure that you don't get environmental issues in your development environments, I guess, because you don't really know whether your code is introducing bugs or the development environment is introducing bugs if you haven't first tested from a clean build. Okay, so sorry about the wait, and in fact I will probably have cut that in post-production anyway, but as you can see, we've got a brand new Bootstrap CSS enabled MVC application. There's obviously nothing that we've done here, but it kind of works, and it gives you all the default stuff that MVC gives you. But that's not too important. So what we're going to do is we're just going to stop the project by clicking the good old stop button up there. And we're going to head over to our start menu if you're on Windows 7, and then we're going to go to Node.js command prompt. Alright, so while I'm waiting for that to start up, we're going to right click on here. So we're going to click on Webpack, and we're going to click on Open Folder in File Explorer. Whoops. So we're going to click here, and we're going to right click on that, and we're going to CD, so change directory, and I'm just going to paste the directory into here. And there you go, so we're just going to clear the console there. Alright guys, so what you're going to do is, you're going to type in the following commands. You're going to type in node package manager, which is npm install, with two L's of course, babel-loader, babel-core, babel-preset-es2015, and finally you're going to type in --save -dev, and you're going to hit enter, and I will go through what those flags mean in a later tutorial. I've got to get back to my Rust videos, but I just really wanted to kind of get this series all kicked off and rolling, as I really love Webpack and all that kind of stuff, and it's a really important video to make, mainly because of my role in the hash web channel on Freenode. We get a lot of people asking, you know, should I use Grunt, should I use Gulp, like what's my task runner, what's my whole build environment, and Webpack is kind of the first and the best build environment that I've used. I wouldn't even bother with any other build environments considering Webpack exists. So what's going to happen is it's going to go ahead and contact npmjs.org or whatever it is, npm.org, and it's going to download all of the node modules. Those modules get stuck inside of this little node modules folder here, and as you can see, it is downloading them for us as we speak. And yeah, so what I'll do is I will cut across to when that's all finished. And if you guys have any issues with npm not downloading Babel or whatever else. Oh, by the way, before I cut across, Babel is our transpiler. So what is a transpiler? Well, what we can do is I'll just look that up quickly for you, the exact definition of that. So we'll say transpiler. Because I know what it does, but I don't know the exact definition. It's a source-to-source compiler, according to Wikipedia. So what it essentially does is it just kind of turns our ES6 code, which can't be run natively in the browser yet. I must stress yet. Well, some browsers can run ES6 code, but for the most part, you can't really run ES6 code natively in the browser. And so it takes our ES6 code and it turns it into ES5 code that you can run in all browsers. I think basically since the dawn of time, well, definitely not the dawn of time, but, you know, ES6 is kind of the running standard. It's what people write raw JavaScript in at the moment, so. Alright, so Babel has successfully installed for me. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to type in the following command into our Node.js command prompt. We're going to say npm install -g webpack. And what that's basically going to do is install Webpack across our system. So we can use Webpack in any of our projects, and we don't have to install Webpack into each and every project. I personally like to do this just because Webpack is something that you just use so often for so many different projects, whereas Babel is kind of like a module that you would kind of use specifically for each project. Obviously, for this tutorial series, each of our projects will use Babel since it's an ES6 sort of build environment or whatever else, but we might throw in some Sass, some less, you know, whatever else, because realistically, this is kind of a Webpack VS integration sort of series, and I'm not really sure. It's all a bit of a mash up at the moment. So once you've got Webpack installed, the next thing you need to do is you need to go into tools, and you need to go into extension and updates, and we need to download a little extension for Visual Studio. So we're going to go into the online gallery here, and we're going to search for Webpack and hit enter. And then we're going to get this thing called Webpack Task Runner. Now what we're going to do is we're going to press download, and it will quickly install it, and we'll agree to this, and I'm sure that everyone obviously reads that because we're all, you know, we're all good developers and we like to know exactly what's going on. And I'll just hit save just to make sure that whatever was Visual Studio wanted to save, it can save it, and hopefully Visual Studio doesn't take too long to fire back up. And while we're waiting, we're going to navigate to the next link that we need to go to, which is my repository on GitHub. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to github.com /the open dev project. And here I am. So what we're going to do is look for a repository under my list of repositories called Webpack VS, and I will be releasing all sorts of different Webpack configurations that I use for, you know, different kind of build environments. This is just the most basic one that I pretty much always use, and I've just called it ES2015 webpack.config.js. So we'll go ahead and we'll open that, and I don't know, okay, it's wanting me to, you know, it's wanting me to go and build a TFS repository or something of that nature, but we're not going to do that. So what we're going to do is we've basically got our project now kind of running, and we're just going to go to a view start, and this is the CSHTML file, which may or may not take a very long time to open up, who knows. So this is our view start, and we're going to go into shared, we'll go into layout. And this is the kind of default scaffolded, you know, MVC layout page, if you will. But first and foremost, we need to include a task runner. We need to include a Webpack config. So what you guys can do, and we're going to be changing this throughout the series, is if you just go to my repository, we can basically just copy and paste this entire config. So we'll copy that. And what you're going to do is you're going to right click on the Webpack, if that's what you have silly enough called your project. You're going to go to add, and then you'll go to JavaScript file, and you'll call this webpack.config.js, and you'll hit enter. Alright, and you'll notice that because we've called it webpack.config.js, you get this little Webpack 3D cube looking thing. I think it's pretty cool. You can toggle it on and off. It'll just kind of disappear and reappear. And more importantly is what you'll notice is that down here, Webpack has enabled itself inside of the task runner, which is what that plugin that we installed in VS actually does. So for some reason my Control V isn't working. It could be because I'm on a virtual machine, but we'll just paste that, and there you go. And I've got some little comments in there, hopefully to help you understand exactly what's going on. Oops, sorry about that. So I guess I have to click save up here, which is a little bit annoying, but you know, what are you gonna do? Alright, so let's just explain the Webpack config file really quickly. This is kind of like the entry point for a module. A module, if you will, and we'll set up a module here quickly. In fact, you know what, let's just set up a module here. So, as you can see, it's kind of got this, all these default, includes, which you can use for your project in Visual Studio, but let's go ahead and make our own. So, we'll say, new folder, and we'll call this one my module. And this is generally how I set up my, my modules for JavaScript in Visual Studio. So we'll add a new one, we'll add a new file here, and we'll say add JavaScript file, and we'll call this index.js. That just seems to be a convention within the whole build, the ES, environment. And we'll just leave this here for 1 second. In fact, you know what, we'll just make it an anonymous function. So we'll just start off our project here. So we'll say like this, and we'll get it to run. Just like that. So we'll just get this code to run basically wherever we include it. Whoops, that's really annoying me. Anyway, doesn't matter. And then we'll make a new folder here, and we'll call it I don't know. Let's call it classes. Yeah, classes. And we'll make a new JavaScript file just here, and we'll say add JavaScript file, and we'll call this one my class.js. Alright, and we'll make a simple class here. We'll say export class my class. Now, as I said before, if you don't know what any of this is not, at the moment, this is not exactly an ES6 tutorial. It'll become an ES6 series, but just for now, I'm just kind of racing through all the ES6 stuff at the moment. And we'll say constructor, and I'll just build a little constructor here, and I'll just say alert, because what else is not really that important. And I'll just say hello world. Alright, cool. So if I hit Control S, that is probably going to do something that I don't want it to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to import this class. So we're going to say import. We're going to import my class from, and we need this. And we will say classes, and then we'll say, whoops, that would be escaping the directory. So we're going to go this, and we're going to say classes, and we'll say my class. And you notice how I leave off the .js at the end. Webpack knows where to look for it, and it assumes, and we'll show how it assumes it in a second, that it has a .js extension. And what we'll do is we'll say, let my var is equal to new my class. And there we go. And of course, that's going to bring up my settings once again. I'm really sorry about that. Alright, so let's go back, and we need to continue setting up our config. Now that we have got... oh, and I forgot one more thing. Sorry, we need to create a build directory. So we'll hit add, and we'll click a new folder, and we'll call this one build. You could call this whatever you want, really, but I just prefer to call it build because it makes the most sense. Alright, so we've only got one module at the moment, and that is my module. So we change this one to my module. and we'll change this to, we need to change this to my module. So what that basically means is that my module is called my module, funny enough, and the path to my module relative to the webpack.config.js file is slash my module and then index.js. Now index.js is kind of like your main.cpp, your main.rs. It's kind of the first place that the compiler has to go and look. And we'll get into why it has to do that with module loading and module building in kind of future videos, and I just pointed with my hand, I don't know why, but basically that's kind of where your where Webpack kind of starts, and it just kind of goes through each file that's imported into there. Now for the next component of this, and I'm sorry, context is important. So context is kind of what gives the relative pathing. Underscore dir name is a Webpack constant, if you will. And +/scripts, because we're in a Visual Studio build environment, and that's where we generally stick our scripts, is in the scripts folder there. So scripts, and then it's expecting it to be kind of everything after that. The next part is the output file. So it's going to be name. So the name of our module, it takes that kind of square bracket thing, takes that from there. And then the entry point, which is index.js. So that'll be our new compiled entry point, which will be in ES5. Then where is it going to output it to? So we've already created our folder called scripts build, and that's basically our concatenated path where it's going to output stuff to. This test is a little bit more advanced, but essentially what this is it tests the file extension using regex. In our case, I use .js, but I've said in the comments you can use .ES6 or whatever if you want to kind of easily differentiate. I don't really find it too important. We don't want to be compiling node modules or Bower modules because, well, that would just be bad. And also we don't need to. It's a library. The loader, we're using a Babel loader because Webpack relies on loaders to basically compile and all that stuff. And we might go into loaders in another video, although I'm not exactly too up to scratch on what a loader is at the moment, or exactly how they work behind the scenes, but I know they're really important to Webpack. So you should have it anyway. And I'm sorry for that scream. And then the query is basically what is our version of, what is the version that we want Babel to transpile with? In our case, it is ES 2015. Okay, so pretty much that's all we need to do. And if we want to see Webpack actually build and run this, it's pretty easy. We don't even have to press this little run button up here, although this binding build before run thing will do exactly just that. Is that every time in Visual Studio that you press debug or run, it will go ahead and it'll rebuild all of your node modules. So that's kind of the integration part in Visual Studio 2015. But let's go ahead and we'll build it. So we'll hit run, and we'll get this little Webpack compiler right here. And it is running, as you can see. It may take quite a while in this virtual machine. I really hope it doesn't, though, because that would just be quite frustrating. There we go. And as you can see, it has gone ahead and has built my module, and it also built a map file for you. Map files are kind of... they show you basically what the ES6 version looks like, and you can debug with the ES6 version of your code in the browser. However, that's not actually what the browser is currently running. So, what we need to do is a little bit of a weird thing. Because Visual Studio doesn't exactly track changes on the file system directly, we need to actually add our build. I mean, you don't have to, but I always find it nice to kind of add these in if there's any issues or anything. So what we'll do is we'll add, what I meant to say is it doesn't track file changes on the file system. So we need to go to our build directory, and we're just going to drag these straight into Visual Studio right here. And as you can see, if I move this out of the way for you guys, it has gone ahead and it has built our class. And as you can see, we've got our little includes here, and we've got all this kind of stuff. So that's all really nice. And this is myclass.js, and I didn't save this, which is why it has not built it. I thought it would save it automatically, but apparently no, only when I press run. So we'll go ahead and we'll build that again, and hopefully it'll ask me to reload in a second. Once you drag it into here, then Visual Studio will start tracking changes to the file. I guess in sort of real time. That's an important coordinate, and there you go. So you can see it's rebuilt it, and we'll say, no, I don't want to change that, so we'll close this. And we will reopen this, and if we scroll down, as you can see now, we have our alert hello world. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we will include this in our view. So let's go to shared layout. I personally don't like to use the bundler that Visual Studio provides as such. I mean, it's alright, and I'm going to leave it in there for now, but we're just going to do a quick script include. So we're going to say script source is equal to, and then we'll put little tilde / build, scripts / build, and then we'll say my module, my module.index.js, and we'll close that off, and I can't hit save, so I'll hit save out there. Alright, and we'll hit play, and as you can see, what it's going to do is, the task runner is going to rerun anyway in a second. You'll see down in the bottom left hand corner what the current build job is running. So because we're building both our JavaScript and we're building our MVC project, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, especially the first few builds. There's all this caching stuff you can kind of install around Webpack, and if you've got a really large project, I would highly recommend getting into that sort of area of Webpack. But nonetheless, there we go. We have now built our project. And hopefully, once the program runs, once our website loads, we will get an alert that says "Hello World," and that'll be on the construction of our ES6 class, which has been transpiled into ES5, whatever they're calling it these days, ES5, the old version of JavaScript. That's what I like to call it, the old version of JavaScript. Alright, that actually didn't take too much longer than I thought it was going to take, but as you can see, guys, on the screen, Hello World has popped up, and if we click OK, the rest of the page will display. That's pretty much all there is to this video. That is the entire Node.js build environment set up within Visual Studio. I hope that made it a lot easier and a lot clearer. For me, that was a lot of hours of research kind of went into that simplification process. So I hope that helped you guys as well. Anyway, if it did, rate, comment, subscribe. And yeah, let me know what you guys want to see in the next few videos. And of course, I will be getting back to the Rust videos. I just was a little bit demotivated, to be honest with you guys, about making them. No particular reason, I just kind of get like that sometimes. But I will be putting it out during the week, I promise. I haven't forgotten about it, and in fact, the next video which we've got to do in Rust, in the Rust series is, if I look at my little sheet here, it is element array lengths and then slices and slicing syntax. And I might chuck that all in one video. I'm not exactly sure yet. But anyway, have a good weekend, guys, and have a good week. And thanks for watching. Peace.